All right, everybody, welcome back to the Move podcast, talking about stage 13 of the Tour de France. As has been the case every day this summer, the tour coverage brought to you by Ketone IQ, of course, made by HVMN. We'll talk a little bit about that later. Got a couple special guests today. Sitting over there to our far left of George, Mr. Spencer Martin. How you doing, buddy?
Good. Thanks for having me back.
I know. Well, back by popular demand. There was a lot of requests.
I've been loitering outside the studio for like a week, so I got to come back in.
Yeah, and I have a special gift for you in a little bit. And then also today, a very special guest. You guys have come to know and love him. You hear him every day. You hear how much joy it actually brings to my life. Our good friend Alain Azizi is here to actually read the stage start and finish in person. And so without further delay, Alain, where did we go here on stage 13?
Actually, I'm on strike today.
Okay, well, you're gonna cross the picket line today.
The French thing. Today we're going from Châtillon-sur-Chalaronne to Grand Colombier. Châtillon-sur-Chalaronne to Grand Colombier.
That is amazing. I mean, you know that every day when we play the recording, it you see like a noticeable difference in me when it just, I don't know, it's just something like, okay, for example, like, thank you. Like, give me just a couple other towns we cruise through.
Oh boy. One is called Le Monteiller. Le Monteiller, there is one that's pretty good actually. Saint-Maurice de Rémance.
Oh, I love that place.
Oh,
yeah.
Or Saint-Rambert en Bugey.
Okay, well.
And there is one I'm not sure I can pronounce actually. And there's another one, Cormoranche en Bugey.
I love that place too. So, and also for those who followed, I was just reminded of this when I saw you pull up on that little scooter. For those who followed George and I's little Dumb and Dumber reenactment last summer with the coat and going down the hole, that was your little scooter bike. So when you pulled up on it, I had a little. It's like, man, maybe we should bring back Dumb and Dumber.
I think we should.
I think that's not a bad idea.
I have to borrow another jacket from somebody. But Alain, thanks you for coming on. Happy Bastille Day to you and all of our French listeners. And what did you think about the French riders today?
Well, they tried.
Were you pleased? They tried.
I think they tried.
TV
Yeah.
time.
I mean, it would have been great to have a frog, crossing the finish line first. But I guess they tried. So
yeah.
Well.
Happy Bastille Day.
You got to wait another year. All right, buddy.
So.
Thanks. We're going to bring back JB now. Thanks for coming.
Merci beaucoup.
Merci.
And what's funny is I saw Alain last night, and he had actually, I don't know if you've been listening or people told you, like it's just this whole thing. I get such a kick out of hearing these start and finish downs. Just, I don't know. I'm a simple man.
Voila.
Okay. Thanks, buddy.
Thank you.
Let's bring back in JB. JB, I know he was standing there. I felt a little, you feel a little jealous energy from people sometimes. There was like a thing there for a minute.
We're all replaceable. Always, that's the motto.
Today's show brought to you by Mont Cush. Kind of a special tweak on this story today. And I've just sort of been, I do track the weather just all around the country, and certainly when it's really severe, the folks at Mont Cush have been really affected by all the storms and the flooding in the Northeast. I think you said, George, apparently some of their facilities were flooded out.
Their warehouse.
The warehouse was flooded.
Yeah.
So, and if you saw Sully on the show about a week ago, you sort of saw the backdrop and you saw the beauty of it. To get that news is that's crushing for the team there at Mont Cush.
Yeah, the whole town in Montpellier are really just been hit hard by this storm. So we wish you guys all the best, and hopefully things will get cleaned up and you guys recover as quick as possible.
Yeah. So Mont Cush was started by Sully, who again we had on the show last week. He was trying to help his daughter Devin with a medical condition. They grow their own organic hemp in Vermont, as we just discussed. They use a custom 200-ton press to extract pure rosin. They utilize this groundbreaking nanotechnology called SENS, which is self-emulsifying nano delivery system, and that's why we have Spencer here today to break that down. Little propeller head that he is. No stain, no stink. Use as much as possible. As they say, more is more. If you're in pain, get on over to Mont Cush. Now that's with a K, MONTKUSH, montcush.com. Use the code THEMOVE. That gets you 30% off your entire order. Again, that's montcush.com. Also today brought to you by Speed Play Pedals. Speed Play Aero is proven to help you save minutes across a Grand Fondo distance. Speedplay range has options for every rider, including pedals with power. And just so you know, and if you ever ridden together with me or we've been out on a ride together, I've been on Speedplays for about 12 years. Actually, no, since 2012. So I guess I'm in my 11th season riding Speedplays. Love them. Wahoo Speedplay pedals are proven in the Peloton. The Speedplay range provides superior adjustability, easy clip-in with dual-sided entry, and increased power transfer, helping you make the most of every pedal. Now you can save 20% off on select full-price products by using the coupon code THEMOVE at checkout. Head on over to wahoofitness.com/themove. Again, that's wahoofitness.com/themove. And 20% off. Well, Michal Kwiatkowski, a couple of fun things about him. His age has snuck up on me. He's 33 years old now. And as I look on the stats here on Pro Cycling Stats, he's had a hell of a career. 31 pro victories. I think 2 times Amstel. Spencer, this is all your jam, but 2 times Amstel. This is second stage win on the Tour.
But in your mind, he was still a new rider, right? A fresh name.
Yeah. Here's the reason I always associate him with being a young rider is, and of course, every year now we do the Up and Comer show, and we really rely on Johan to just identify young riders that he sees making a difference in the sport in the future. And as we know, he's rarely wrong. And I remember this was of course predates our Up and Comer show, but the first guy I ever heard him say, "Hey, watch out for this guy," was Michal Kwiatkowski, and that was obviously a long time ago, and it's proven to be true.
Yeah, he's been at the top of the game for a long time, world champion, and his team right now is they got Pitcock up there in the chase group, Rodriguez. They're looking really good for a podium spot. Now they have a stage win, and I feel like that's gonna just motivate the team even more, and we're gonna see more and more of them going in breakaways and fighting for that third place spot.
You might. Oh, sorry. Go.
What's your Ineos assessment, Spencer?
Great. I thought, George brings up a good point. Great day for them. Good GC stage win. You really can't ask for more than that.
No.
But Kwiatkowski, you might think he's younger than he is because he won World Championships 2014. You're like, wow, this guy, next big star. He has had a pretty good career. 2 Amstel Golds, World Championship,
San Remo,
E3, like a lot of good wins, 2 Tour stage wins.
2 Strade Bianchis.
Yeah, like who wouldn't love to have that palmares? But he spent, I'd say, the peak of his career, like he won that World Championships and he gets parked. I think he was on Quick-Step at the time. He goes over to Ineos, team's guy at the time. Huge paycheck, I'm sure, massive. Like they just blew everybody out of the water. Mm-hmm. Parked him on the front of the SkyTrain for the peak of the Froome, Geraint Thomas reign. And his career, I mean, if you look at his results, didn't win a lot during that time because it's just a different type of training. It's just steady state on the front of the Peloton. I thought it had ruined his ability to win races, but the fall of Ineos as a GC team has given back the rise back to Kwiatkowski, and now we see him winning. I think he could have been doing this the whole time, but financial security is important. So
Spencer, I agree with you 100%. When you're in that role of protecting your GC leader and you have to ride at the front, you almost lose that mentality of that little piece you need to cross the finish line first. So that's a great point, and I agree with you wholeheartedly.
He's a very humble.
By the way, Johan gave Quito his first pro contract.
Yeah,
so
and just shows you how good my memory is. I was looking here on his bio, and he raced for Radio Shack. We raced, in effect, we raced together in 2011. I didn't do a lot of racing in 2011, but I see here
So if all that steady state polling puts you in that condition, how did he get it back, in your opinion?
I don't know. It could just be what George is saying, where it's more of a mental mindset, and that it's not an actual physical degradation of his ability.
Yeah, if you listen to his post-race comments, I mean, he was, he got in the breakaway, 19 guys, very, very aggressive start once again. Very little chance of actually making it to the finish line because UAE went right on the front. In fact, we were all like, okay, this is not going anywhere. But man, a group of 19 guys, strong guys like that are not that many climbers, good rouleurs that can haul ass on the flats. That's tough. We saw how hard it was to control those guys. And then all of a sudden, Kwiatkowski's in with a shot, and he took advantage of it and pulled off an amazing victory.
Did you mention that? I was spaced out for a second. Nothing new there. But did you mention Ineos is now in the lead on Team GC?
I did not. No.
Yeah. So Bahrain
Bahrain.
had the lead, and after today, Ineos is now leading the Team GC, which, you know, for as a team who went to go try to win the Tour for so many years and did win the Tour for so many years, that we didn't really care about Team GC. But if you're not winning, I mean, it's a big deal.
It's a huge deal.
Huge
To finish on the podium in Paris as the best team in the race, it's pretty awesome. Only got to do that one time in my career, 2007, with one of your favorite riders, but it's still a special feeling.
I have to go back and look.
It is interesting. Ineos, like, think about 2017, 2018, 2016. Like, they're not doing this. They're not sending someone in the break to poach a stage win. Like, their style, like today is an example of just how much they've changed their style. They're not sitting on the front. Their GC guys are, I guess, safe. They're either going to stay there, they're not going to stay there. But they're going for stage wins. Like, this is a completely different team than we used to see.
Well, and not only that, but it'll be interesting to see if they actually really want this Team GC, because if they do, then you're going to see a whole different tactic coming in, where they're going to have start control on guys that are close to them, teams that are close to them in the Team GC. And what will happen is it'll help UAE and Jumbo, you know, like they did today. They rode at the bottom of the climb, did some hard tempo, which, you know, we didn't understand quite why, but they're certainly in the run for the Team GC, and we'll see how serious they are about keeping it.
And Tom Pidcock had a good day. So as we've watched this thing develop, and one of the big questions we have is, all right, we have Vingegaard and Pogačar. Who's the third step on the podium? Pidcock looked good today, so that then starts to, you know, be another thing that they can play.
Absolutely. And now today, seeing all the riders saw Kwiatkowski make it to the finish line on a day that was very low chance that the breakaway would make it. So it's just going to make the racing even more aggressive. It's going to make the directors more demanding that their guys get in the breakaway, because they see that there is a chance given the right dynamic in a breakaway.
Who knows if that's replicable? I mean, he had a 3-minute 45-second gap with 17K to go. With 10K to go, it's 3:15. I don't know how accurate that was, but and then he finished 50 seconds in front of Pogačar, so he lost, you know, 240, something like that for the last 10K. It might take a world championship, like a world champion's pedigree, to hold that off. That is pretty impressive.
Well, and for those that are just listening, this is what I love about Spencer. You're probably at home listening going, he's reading all these, whatever you just said, you know, 3 something at such and such kilometer, the other one at another kilometer. No.
Nothing's in front of him.
No, nothing. He's not reading anything. That's just burned into his brain, which is...
But we're seeing... On a day like today, with so many guys in the breakaway, we're seeing them work together really well until the final climb, which is very rare. Normally, a big breakaway like that, 19 guys, they start attacking, trying to get a head start before the climb. You know, it causes all kinds of chaos within the group. But today, they work together really well all the way to the start of the last climb.
And the group behind, and this is one of the questions we had. Of course, we put Johan on this because he's so good at digging this stuff up. Yes, Kwiatkowski held them off. We were sort of questioning whether the GPS data was actually accurate. And when we're watching the race live, I'm always sort of questioning that GPS data coming from the bikes or the riders, because it just doesn't jibe sometimes. And the group behind was hauling ass. I mean, they looked like they were going twice as fast. So Johan dug up. So of course, as we talked about yesterday, we finished on top of the Grand Colombier in 2020, which was won by Pogačar. And then, of course, today, and Pogačar was in that group, and we'll talk about the race within the race with Vingegaard, but he went a minute and a half faster than
that's mind-boggling.
than 3 years ago.
Wow.
Yeah, I was actually surprised by that. I mean,
well, not only that, but he only went with 500-600 meters to go.
Yeah,
I mean,
exactly.
That's a minute and a half faster. His guys did all of that work, and he went with a minute and a half to
well,
go.
and consider
600 meters to go.
In 2020, you're racing for the stage win. This time, you're just controlling the race and trying to set up for perhaps for a late attack, which he did do. But to go a minute and 90 seconds faster, that's a lot.
It is a lot. It shows you how much the level's risen. Just like if we were talking about Bernal this morning, could he get back to his former level? I think it's two different questions. His former level isn't what Pogačar and Vingegaard are at now, because the level has risen so much since 2019.
What does Johan always say? It's gaining 1% annually.
Right.
Yeah.
And so getting back to your level from 3 years ago, you're behind by a few percent.
And I think it makes Kwiatkowski's win all that more impressive. I mean, if had they gone 90 seconds slower, you could say, yeah, of course he had a better chance holding them off. The fact they went 90 seconds faster and he stayed out there, that's a baller ride.
Absolutely baller ride.
Today's show also brought to you by Pillar. I got a question for you, George, because you have a very chill life. So, did you get some good sleep last night?
Lately, I've been sleeping like a baby.
I know, because you have a very chill life.
Well, I actually work for you every day here, so as all of our viewers can imagine, it is very far from chill and relaxed. It's quite the opposite. But I've been drinking this new product from the feed called Pillar. It's a magnesium drink that typically doesn't taste that great, but this thing tastes amazing.
Does it work?
I love it. Yeah, it works.
It's working for you.
Tastes great every night before bed. I put it in my little Pillar water bottle, shake it up, drink it. It's only 40 calories, and sleep like a baby.
Is that I've seen you drinking some pineapple, coconut stuff.
Yeah, that's it.
It tastes good?
It tastes amazing.
And it must be expensive. I mean, if you're getting a free night's sleep, it's got to be a bunch of money.
It's actually just over $1 a day. Imagine that, $1 a day for a great night's sleep. Can't beat that.
No, I agree. And my wife is at home she's ordering right, and she's waiting for this next line that tells her how to order this. She's the worst sleeper of all time.
Yeah, it's a great product. They're from Australia. The feed discovered them, and now the feed is the exclusive retailer of the Pillar.
Awesome. So if you guys want to sleep stress-free, just like the Diva George, head on over to thefeed.com/themove. Get 20% off Pillar. Again, use that code. The code is the move, but go to thefeed.com/themove. Speaking of the feed, I got a couple things, and I can't believe I didn't. When I was talking about the Basque Country and how special it is, and how it's really rugged and green, and there's a bunch of art and culture and food. It's amazing. And they have this fucked up language, and I was talking about these A's, and we were all trying to look up like what a Basque A looks like. The guys at the feed, look at this. They made me my own. Look at that A. Is that fucked up or what? That's what it looks like. And then they did it again on the last name. And we had a Basque winter yesterday. How I didn't notice this yesterday. I was having an off day yesterday. I'm back today. I didn't ride. I'm resting up. But it doesn't end with my Basque bottle here. All right, I got a couple gifts for you guys.
Oh, wow.
No particular order here.
You should take rest days more often. You're in a better mood. Let's advocate for at least one rest day for once a week.
George was yesterday. By the way, you need to learn how to spell namaste. He was texting me yesterday, like, dude, you need to.
Bro, spell check.
He's like, you need to be namaste, and it was like spelled. I don't even know how, but that means you're not namaste. Anyways, no particular order. But since you're our special guest today, Spencer, I've got the feed. Helped me make a couple bottles. All right, how about this one?
Oh, man.
The propeller head. Here you go. Here you go, Spencer.
Oh, thank you.
It's got like a Chinese math chart on it.
All right. And everybody else gets gift. JB, we got you one here, teamed up with the guys at the feed. Huh? Nobody knows what JB means.
Oh, dug it up.
Wow. Jeffrey Benedict.
Oh, man.
And the guy that came just crawling into the start of the tour and to the coverage here at the Move, George. Mr. 5-0. That's right.
Love it.
George 5-0. By the way, it was his 50th birthday if you weren't watching at the start. And one of our listeners noticed yesterday, she called you out for having really low energy. Also today, brought to you by HVMN. We're getting closer to this mountain bike duel with Michael, the CEO of HVMN. Probably another reason I took a rest day. The guy's talking about it. He's swimming in ketone IQ. And I'm like, all right, bring it, dude. I'm not going to take it from anybody. I don't care if you're our title sponsor. It's on.
I've never seen him ride a bike. I've seen him run, and he's like a mountain goat.
No, I wouldn't take that bet, even if I was swimming in ketone IQ. But in all seriousness, HVMN launched the world's first drinkable ketone in 2017. Ketone IQ is their latest innovation on ketones with improved effectiveness, taste, and cost. Also, not just a lot of riders in the tour using this, a bunch of real athletes in the special forces out there doing hard work. You can save 30% off your first subscription order of Ketone IQ at hvmn.com/themove. Again, that's hvmn.com/themove, and subscribe at checkout for 30% off. Last one of the day brought to you by Roca. Oh, and I just happen to have these sitting here. I mean, come on. If you're not watching the show, which should be, this is blue steel. I got a blue hat on, and I got the blue titanium aviators. I mean, Rob and crew, I hope you make more of these because when people see this shit's gone. Even Spencer's like, what?
Clean shaven.
Clean, shaved up, had a big call, big presentation for Next Ventures yesterday. So I even wore a nice shirt. But Roka they're changing the game. They've revolutionized eyewear, not just on the performance side, the casual side, the prescription side. Absolutely the best optics on the market. Crystal clear, fog resistant, scratch resistant. And when you're out sweating, like our friend Michael at HVMN is going to be doing tomorrow, he's wearing his Rokas. They're not going to slip off your face. They've got the no-slip technology. Also hand-built in our hometown of Austin, Texas. Looking forward to moving back there. JP, I'm not looking forward to moving back there in August. Let's be clear.
August is not the best time to show up.
I know. It's like I've been complaining about 7 months straight of snow. My ass going to get down there in August and go, when is it going to snow? Like, it's going to be terrible.
Yeah.
Our listeners, the Move listeners, get 20% off. Head on over to Roka, that's ROKA.com for 20% off. Use the code THEMOVE at Roka.com. The code's THEMOVE.
So you guys keep giving me a hard time that I started off slow. So every day I want to continue to, up the game. Yesterday we had Mateo on. Thank you, Mateo, for being on the show. Today, I went straight to the source of the director who won the stage today, a good friend of mine, Steve Oo'Cummins. I just want to read you his quote from today's stage.
Steve O's coming on the show?
No. He said I probably could have got him on the show, but
no, Steve O, the guy from Jackass.
Oh, we got our propeller head here, so we kind of busy on the stage here today. But this is from Steve. Personally, I'm enjoying the race a lot. The route has been super cool with a lot of opportunities for aggressive racing. We all know that. And credit to all the teams. They have made the most of the terrain and raced full gas. From our perspective, we are in a fight for the podium with two very young and exciting riders. We don't have a big responsibility to control the race, which gives us the opportunities like today. And credit to our riders because we asked them a lot to take on the win on the flat days. Fight for breakaways and hang on as long as possible in the mountains. Kyoto deserves, I probably said that wrong. Kwiatkowski deserves his victory. He has been an amazing road. Kwiato deserves his victory.
Wait, I thought he was Polish. I thought he was Polish.
Kwiato deserves his victory. He has been an amazing road captain so far. So good. We are looking forward to the next stages and the final week. We're enjoying Ciao George. And then he's not done. And then he said yesterday there was 100 attacks and they all went with him and the 101 attack went. And so he feels that the team really deserves the victory today.
I agree.
Yeah.
No, they rode great. And we don't have to get the answer today, but I am curious if the Team GC is something that, it's not that they wouldn't care about it. Is it something they plan on trying to maintain or work for? Or,
do you want me to ask her?
You don't have to right now. No.
Okay. All right.
No.
I'll ask and
I don't want to embarrass you if he doesn't write back while we're still on the show, and then you have to, But no, I'm curious if they're gonna. If that's something they're interested in.
Okay.
So Pogačar puts in more seconds. Mm-hmm. We've already seen the same move. He could do this through the Alps. What's your assessment of the top two?
I want Spencer's assessment. I have thoughts here. Mine might be a little more firm, maybe than Spencer's, I'd imagine. But Spencer, what do you say? Like we've got just over a week to go, and some obviously a ton of hard stages. Got the time trial. How's this play out?
I'm concerned I'm squatting on a bad take, but so Pogačar's unbeatable. Like what was today's effort? A minute, 2 minutes, even out to 10, 15 minutes. If you give him a clean run uphill to the line, no one in the world is beating him. Like 7.5 watts per kilo, it's not happening. But that's not the rest of this tour. Like the Tour de France is about the high Alps, hard climbs tomorrow, hard climbs Sunday, time trial Tuesday, and then more hard climbs the week after. That's where Vingegaard is really, really good. I think we haven't even seen him in his best terrain yet. The fact that he's still leading the race is impressive. It messes with your head because you think, well, Pogačar's unbeatable. He's just storming through these climbs. But frankly, I would have wanted him to take more time today. Like this is the last stage that really, really, really suits him over Vingegaard. I think he should have gone earlier, taken more time.
I think but then in order to do that, I agree with everything you just said, but in order to do that, you have to make that stage hard before and not let him, sit on the back and wait for the final climb where he can go 7.5 watts per kilo for 5, 10, 15 minutes. But in order to do that, you have to have a team. The Jumbo team I saw today versus the UAE team I saw today, and maybe we heard some reports that they were going to take it easy today, or not kill themselves in anticipation for the next 2 days. But if you don't know that, and you're just looking at that, UAE was 5 times stronger as a team today. So, and UAE's not going to ride on the front at a tempo that's going to put Pogačar in a position where the gas tank's going down. There's been a shift here. I think. Now I'll get to the part that I think Pogačar is in the driver's seat. I don't want to say it's over, but I think he's the dominant rider, and we'll see tomorrow, and we'll break down that in a sec. But I just think Mr. Momentum is firmly living on Pogačar's street right now.
I don't know. I think Pogačar is he's one of the best sprinters in the peloton.
Yeah.
Definitely in terms of the climbers. So today was essentially a sprint. He sprinted for 600 meters and got a few seconds on Jonas. It wasn't actually what we thought we were going to see. What we were going to see was an attack. Halfway up the climb, try to get some real time on Jonas. He did a sprint and got a couple seconds. I don't think it's over by any means. I'm leaning on what Spencer said.
Mm-hmm. Did UAE get hustled today? That's what I'm wondering. They work all day on the front. They probably let too big of a breakaway go. They work all day. They really were going hard on that final climb. Jumbo sat up. Like those guys, like Wout van Aert, super strong. Like you didn't even see him. He just sat up. Jumbo has something cooking for tomorrow, I think.
I agree.
With Sepp Kuss going in the early break, really tough stage, really hard to control. UAE just put a lot of energy in to not get the 10-second time bonus. It's not ideal. It actually kind of reminds me of 2020. Like, are they letting Vingegaard just hang around? Like, if you go back to 2020, Jumbo just let Pogačar hang around. It's like, we're going to beat him in the final time trial. It doesn't matter. I would want to leave it up to that. I would want to take as much time as I possibly could on Vingegaard if I was Pogačar.
Well, I think Vingegaard is if you go back to 2020, nobody saw that time trial coming, right? No, including especially Primož Roglič. I mean, that was the shock of his life. So this is a very different dynamic, and I hope you're right. I mean, tomorrow's stage is never flat, up and down, up and down. You got Cat 3, three Cat 1s, and then a horse category over Joux Plane. That is a hell of a day, and yeah, you could imagine a team, and also short, 151 kilometers. Team starts to make it. That's a beast of a day.
And JB knows the answer to this, but do you guys know how many times Pogačar has beaten Vingegaard in the third week of a Grand Tour in a time trial?
0?
0. It's never happened.
See, that's such a
propeller head. That's why we have him on there.
See, folks, this is why he's here. I was like, I don't know how many.
Let's not forget, UAE looked better today on the climb, no doubt. But when they sort of looked like they were doing a rope-a-dope with Adam Yates attacking, but Jonas still had Sepp Kuss there, our American hero, chasing him down and showing that, hey, most of our team's gone, but we still got our strong climber here. So essentially, it was sort of evened out with Adam and Pogačar up there, and Sepp and Jonas up there.
Yeah.
So I have an email that it was for JB Squared, but I think I should read this here because it's very important when you're comparing Pogačar and Vingegaard, right? Pogačar just seems much more confident, more of a killer, and Vingegaard very understated. And even Johan commented in the post interview yesterday. He's like, "I try my best tomorrow." Like that is not confidence. Like you would have never said that. You would have never said that. No. But this is important. Heidi wrote to us and said, "I'm an American living for over 20 years on the northwest coast of Denmark, 30 kilometers from where Jonas was born and did his training. The area is called THY. It's pronounced THY, but it's pronounced THY. The natives here, Northwest, are notoriously understated and not very animated. So when a tubo, person from THY, says, 'I'll do my best,' it really means I'll kick ass. When they mean something is really good, they typically say, not too bad." Bjarne Riis was from west of Denmark, though 2 hours further south of here, and he also tremendously understated in interviews, etc. Very hard for the interview to see the emotion or get him to say very many words. Regards and thank you for your knowledge and humor in the podcast. That's from Heidi. I just think that's very important when you see the interviews.
I agree.
We have an update from Stephen about Team GC.
Oh, cool.
He said it's in the back of our minds, but not the priority. We must continue to fight for the podium and stage wins. And I suspect if we do this well, Team GC will take care of itself.
If you're fighting for the podium with Rodriguez and Pidcock on mountain stages, of course, keep in mind the time gaps are so much bigger that it does take care of itself.
Well, and also interesting what he said earlier was that they're not in a position to have to control. So their guys can go in breakaways, and Pidcock and Rodriguez can hang back and follow the GC contender.
Yeah, now there are teams that are not contending, or in the past, that certainly weren't contending for a podium or even a top 10. Team GC was a big deal, and they would, if they got themselves in that position, they would ride, they'd defend it.
Definitely.
And put the team, and we oftentimes benefited from teams, in the old days, Movistar or Benesto, those teams, they loved winning Team GC. You could almost guarantee that they were going to help you at times, which was kind of nice. Let's look at the profile tomorrow. I alluded to it a second ago, but this one's,
That's a doozy.
This is a doozy of a day. And despite it being a downhill finish after Joux Plane, which, by the way, is almost 12 kilometers at 8.5%, it's a very hard climb. The thing, if you focus in on the profile, that sort of the section at the top that looks fairly flat, it just kind of goes forever. And the downhill, it's tricky, it's twisty, it's turny, it's fast. The road's really smooth. You're done in a second, right?
Yeah.
Now the other thing I pulled up AccuWeather for the area there. They're calling for thunderstorms. Summertime, sort of. It's very hot during the day, approaching 90 degrees, and the forecast is for some isolated thunderstorms in the afternoon. Now, having done that descent quite a few times, I know that I do not want to do that descent in a thunderstorm. So just heads up on that. It could be perfectly dry, but...
And another thing about that top part where it sort of plateaus out, it's usually quite windy up there. So if a guy like Jonas gets attacked and he happens to be with Sepp or one of his teammates, they can make up a lot of difference on that flat part if they stay together. So I would guess they'd be ready for an attack from Pogačar, and if they don't happen to make it, I would tell them at least stay together and make a huge difference on that. I think it's like a 5K flat section, roughly, which you can make up a lot of time in that if you're with some teammates.
Spencer, what do you think is going to happen tomorrow?
Well, fun fact, you know who won this stage last time it happened? 2016? Juan Izagirre. So keep an eye out for him. Huh. But I think Jumbo, I look at that profile and I think, man, I would not have wanted to go all out the day before if I was a team. Yeah. So Jumbo, I think they get Sepp Kuss in the breakaway with 2 or 3 others.
With Wout, I'd say Wout's going to go in the breakaway
Wout's in the breakaway, maybe one other rider, get satellite riders up the road. That really puts pressure on UAE if Sepp is riding away. And then you have Wout, you can stash him somewhere along the route. You'll catch him probably before the Joux Plane. Ideally, as George is saying, what if you catch him on the top? Yeah. And then you have Wout van Aert to pull you through that flat section. If you distance Pogačar, that could really open up some gaps.
That would be textbook. That's the way, kids. That's the way you race bikes and team tactics. That would be fun to watch.
There's Jumbo has to make the breakaway tomorrow. Yeah, no doubt they have to, with 1 or 2 guys.
And this sort of defends and supports their position or the way they've been riding with Sepp Kuss. And that was we didn't necessarily understood it, but we kept looking at it going, but I guess if you want to throw him in a break later on in the tour, then it makes sense.
And this goes back to what Matteo said yesterday. If you look at the profile, and what Steve said on his quote was that the day before or yesterday there was 100 attacks. Tomorrow it's quite hard at the start, so only the best climbers can actually get away. I think it's not going to be a panic cooking attack. It's going to be on that category 3 or category 1 for that matter, and it's going to be some real climbers up there getting away.
Before we pull up, because we have the actual profile for the final climb, and just keep it up there for a sec, Colton. But imagine if somebody just started listening to the move this year, right? And they're listening every day, and they're like, "Why do they keep? What is this word panic cooking?" Like it's. I know we've explained it years ago, but like if it's a new listener, like what kind of word is that? I don't even know how to spell it, so I can't Google it. Anyways, a panic cooking is like a
pancake.
It's a pancake, but it's kind of a nobody, right? Not that there are any nobodies in the Tour de France, but in cycling, if you're a panic cooking, you sort of just get onto the back.
Yeah, I don't think there's many panic cookings left in the whole Tour de France peloton right now.
Yeah. All right, so here's the profile of Joux Plane. Again, this is I have a lot of history here. I had a 7-minute lead going into this stage over Jan and Pantani. Speaking of early antics in a short-ish stage, Pantani went up the road. We had to ride. I was put not on the limit, but you certainly start thinking about it, start stressing about it, forgot to eat. Sorry, go back to the profile. And then you get to Joux Plane. I think it's a very hard climb. Of course, with my history there, it was especially hard that day. But the numbers speak for themselves. 8.5% on average, and that's with sections early on that are less so. So, and that section over the top is just kind of goes forever. And if it, watch the weather.
That was probably not one of your favorite stages. For me, that was one of the most exciting stages. I mean, Pantani attacks us on a climb with 100K to go, which is something we had not seen at the Tour de France up until then. Johan was kind of animated on the radio, like, you guys, you can't let this go, got to keep it close. So we went full gas for the next couple of climbs in the valley, and it was just super, super high stress moment. You were yelling at us to go faster, keep them closer. In fact, you were so hyped up that you forgot to eat and fully bonked on that climb.
Yeah, sorry about that.
So it's sort of a disaster day, but very exciting historical stage for us.
And it was. I remember very, very well. Because at the bottom of the climb, I thought, all right, these assholes messed with us all day long. I'm going to kill these guys. So I send Livingston in the front. He's going Mach 2, and we drop everybody. I'm alone. I'm like, see, this is what you do. You fuck with us. I'm going to kill it. And I got out there, and I was like, all of a sudden, some warning lights started coming on. I'm like, uh-oh, hang on. And then people started coming back to me. Jan came back, and then more warning lights came on. I'm like, okay, we have a real problem now. And then Jan rides away. I'm like, and then Johan's back there like, listen, dude, you got 7 minutes. Just all you got to do is get to the finish line. It's okay. But doesn't stop you from going, I'm going to lose the tour. I'm going to lose 7 minutes today, which is virtually impossible to do. But
not only that, but Pantani, being the most iconic figure in cycling at the time, put us all under major, major pressure. Huge, stressful day. He got to the bottom of the Joux Plane. He goes, seeing the douche, got in the car.
He just went home.
Didn't even climb the mountain, but he messed with us so much, and that was his goal of the day. And he didn't care. He just went home. Didn't even ride the last time.
Very complicated guy, and a sad ending, which nobody won there. So you probably have some questions, JB. But
I have a couple, yeah.
Before we do, I just have a fun story. As every day I kind of pick up on things that just throughout the day, stuff that it sticks with me. And of course, everybody knows the show and knows, I'm the bad guy, and George is just this sweet guy. In fact, he tells people all the time.
I thought it's gonna be about Spencer or something.
No, he tells people, he reminds people all the time just how nice he is, including the nice young lady on the trail the other day. I'm the nice one. He says stuff like that. So he tells me that yesterday he goes for a mountain bike ride. He rides up to the top of Buttermilk, which is it's 2,000 feet of vert. It's hard. And there's a really tricky downhill called Bandit Trail. And it's old school mountain bike trail. It's not this new stuff that's built up and bermed and smooth. There's roots and there's rocks, and it's gnarly. It's one of those ones you get to the bottom and you just got to shake your hands out. Well, Mr. Nice Guy gets up there yesterday, and there's some guy on a mountain bike. He's got all the gear on, like a full helmet, like with the mask and everything. And George just says to the guy, and feel free to try to defend yourself here, George. He says to the guy, "Hey, are you about to go?" And the guy's like, "No, I'm about to send it." Yeah. And he's got all this shit on. He's like an enduro bike. He said, "I'm about to send it." And George's like, "All right, well then send it." And so, but then Mr. Nice Guy sits there, as it was told to me, sits there for about a second. He's like, "Wait a minute, the fuck's this guy? I'm George Hincapie. You gonna send it? I'm gonna send it." And George, Mr. Nice Guy, proceeds to get right on the guy's wheel on just a cross country bike with the BMC you're riding. It's got a decent dropper, but it's not an enduro bike, and it's certainly not full gear. Mr. Nice Guy gets right on his wheel and just sits on him for the first half or first third or first half of it.
Yeah.
And finally the guy gets so frustrated he just pulls off, and George was so happy about it.
Well, then I said, "See you in the douches."
So all this
I didn't see him again.
All this nice guy stuff there could be some acting going on there.
Smoked him on it downhill.
That's the little things.
He
He
can ride
where we have fun.
He
doing.
can ride the bike downhill.
Wow. I'm impressed.
That guy should have known. It's his fault.
All right, before we do the trivia and a couple of questions for you guys, we do have a couple of Joe Natoli coming up big.
Ooh.
There are two of them. The second one, I will say, is probably one of the best ones he's ever done. But the first one, and thank you, Joe, for using a photo of my face that's at no less than 15 years old.
All right, at least. When it comes to barbecue, you need the best. Try my knives and meat seasoner. Okay.
These guys all thought it was so funny. Huckberry sent stuff, and they all got clothes, and I got some meat seasoner.
And knife.
I love to cook.
You got a pocket knife.
I love all their cooking stuff that they suggest.
That's good. You guys are down there by the lake. You got the grill going.
Yeah.
You got look like you poured a couple Chardonnays there.
Yeah, they missed the mark on that.
Yeah. Joe did you a favor though, for real, using that picture from like in 1999.
I know.
All right.
Now the other one. This is some of his best work.
Man, I love that. The hipster Boulder
Okay,
dude.
so all these hipster weirdos out there. This is a picture of me.
That's what the guy on the downhill looked like yesterday.
He had one of those handlebar
total
stashes.
hipster.
So it's me on an old track bike, AKA Fixie. And I go, dude, let's go hit some tasty climbs, bro. And of course, and I've got a tattoo on my right forearm, right bicep, Fixie for life. And I must ride for Team Boulder Dude. Boulder Dude. Grace has got one more year in Boulder.
We've got a Boulder Dude.
Yeah, we do have a Boulder Dude.
Do you ride a Fixie around Boulder?
I do ride a Fixie around Boulder.
What?
Yeah, I mean, I'm not like, it's not a cool Fixie, but if it gets stolen, I don't care.
Here's the way this goes. I mean, you alternate between your Fixie and your rollerblades on your way to play pickleball.
Yeah. And I think paddle now is a new thing. Padel, tennis. George knows all about it. Yeah, that's taken over pickleball.
More people taking over the tennis courts. That's what it sounds like to me. All right. Good job, Joe Natoli. Thank you. Ventum Trivia. You can win a brand new NS1 road bike by sending in your correct answer each day, and they draw from those. Yesterday's question is, who is this year's Tour's oldest rider? And I am going to struggle with the pronunciation. Maciej Bodnar?
Oh, yeah, Bodnar, yeah.
Bodnar?
Yep.
I was really curious when that came up yesterday. I didn't know. What's his age?
38 years old.
Yeah.
Born in March of 85. Polish.
Wow.
There's your
Did
oldest
you know that?
I wouldn't have guessed that. I would have said Cavendish probably, because he's also 38.
Yeah, it depends on, I guess.
I wonder if it's
their
who's still
birthdays.
in the race.
Today's question.
By the way, we FaceTimed with Cab this morning.
Yeah?
Yep. I got a little scoops. I got actually a lot of scoop. I want to George caution me on what to say and not to say. So I want to think about it. Maybe chat with him. But
he's doing great though.
He's doing good.
He's with his
Yeah,
family.
He's back home. The kids were all
happy.
Kids were all in the FaceTime.
Of course, everyone wants to know if he's going to add on another year.
Well,
That's
of course.
the
We
big
didn't go there,
my
but-
my scoops might have something. I don't know. I just
question. When are these scoops happening?
I don't know.
Wait, JB, are we sure this is right? How old is Bodnar?
He's 38.
How old is Dries Devenins?
Here we go.
Never even
Here
heard
we
that
go.
name. Who is this guy? Hold on.
Yeah, just look at the quick step team list, start list for this tour, and then look at Dries Devenins' age.
Well, you can just go. What team is he on?
Quick Step.
Steppers.
He's 39.
39,
See,
yeah.
I mean,
Wow.
well, who gave us the answer?
That came from someone at Ventum. I apologize. But
fear not. We have the propeller head Spencer Martin here.
Good
That
Lord.
is amazing. What a
And
call out.
Nothing at his fingertips. Like you said earlier. He
Yeah.
just out of his head
All right.
pulled that out.
Yeah, he was challenged.
Dude.
Wow. Okay. See.
Now I have zero confidence in any of these.
Yeah,
Spencer
how
around.
tall is Marcel Seberg? Do we know? Is he really 6'6"?
Yeah, I actually think that's taller than I remember. I mean, he was a little bit taller than me, but
Listen,
I don't remember.
all guys lie about
We're throwing the whole contest into
to
mayhem
even
here.
bring that up.
Send in your answers. Believe me, they will take into consideration if there's a couple of answers. They'll put you in the drawing. Trust me. Today's question is, what was the first year the Tour had the Grand Depart outside of France? And where did it take place? Find your answer, send it in to trivia@ventumracing.com.
Interesting.
And you could possibly have a brand new NS1.
I love it.
A couple quick questions for you guys. I know we're going a little bit long today. This is from Dan. If you were heading to France to ride with a bunch of mates in celebration of your 50th, where would you base yourself? We're a bunch of battlers, some bald, some gray, a couple chubby guys, all of modest fitness level, but we love riding. Love the show as always. That's Dan in New South Wales. Where would you base?
Boy, it sounds to Dan, just from the description of the group, Dan, it sounds like it's riding is not the first priority. It sounds like so there may be some other activities. You know, good food, good wine. I'm really partial to where Anna and I got married last summer. An amazing spot called Chateau Lacoste, owned by Patty McKillen. His sister Mara runs it. And there's great riding. I mean, the rooms, the food, it's so next level you can't believe it. Now, you might have to refinance a couple of houses to stay, but if that's in your thing, Dan, it's unbelievable. The riding's incredible, and if some of the guys or yourself are feeling feisty, it's pretty close to the Ventoux. So you could, you can actually ride to the Ventoux and do it. That might be a bit too much to bite off, but short drive, go ride Ventoux, come back, hammer some good wine. Amazing art on the premises, amazing. So I'm Chateau Lacoste and just outside of Marseille.
Well, it's the 50th. They're probably going big.
Let's go big.
Go big.
And this is just a
invite us.
This is a fun question. It says, hi guys, love the show. My husband and I watch after we get our babies, ages 1 and 4, to sleep at night and wake up early to watch the race in the morning. My husband and I hope that our 2 girls will love biking as much as we do. My question is, what do you recommend to teach a kid to ride a bike? Training wheels or no training wheels? And the second part of the question, how did George get Enzo so excited to ride and eventually race? That's from Juliana out of Orange County.
Okay.
Good question.
I'll let you talk about Zoe and I'll talk about training wheels.
Yeah, I mean, it's a great question on Zoe. I mean, Lance, all you guys remember Zoe coming here for several years, being this young sort of chubby kid that didn't love to go riding. And one year I was in Aspen and he was home. He was about 12 years old, and all of a sudden it just clicked where he started really loving cycling. And so I don't know if I had anything to do. Of course, I had a lot to do with him being on the bike, but something in his mind just clicked and he became obsessed with riding. And I actually have a 9-year-old right now that I'm going through the same thing where I got to make him go biking. In fact, my buddy Jake just took him for a bike ride today. I'm hoping he has that click at some point in the next few years as well.
And you've shared in the past, like with Enzo, you're even trying to hold him back, like keep it fun.
Yeah, well now, I mean, there's no holding him back. He's full gas into it. Well, this is my little one riding today. I don't know if you can see that.
We can see that.
With his best friend, Archie Honeycutt.
That's awesome.
That's cool.
Now, teaching your kids to ride.
Okay, so here's the deal. All right. Absolutely no way do you put training wheels on your kid's bike, ever. It's the worst thing you can do. And I'll expand on that in a second, but no training wheels. Get them a Strider bike, which is the little bike that has wheels and has a handlebar and has a seat, but just doesn't have pedals. So they're essentially running along with the bike, pushing themselves. Of course, when they're starting, don't start them down the concrete driveway and let them rip. Take them to the, maybe a grass field or a local park. Let them do that there. Kids will eventually, once they start pushing themselves, what do they do next? They pick up their legs. Once they pick up their legs and they don't fall over, they are riding a bike. They're not pedaling, but they are riding a bike. They're figuring out the balance of the bike. So under no circumstance do you ever put training wheels on a kid's bike. Just like, and these are all things that have come out, like when we were raised, right? When our parents were afraid we couldn't swim, they put those little floaties on our arms. The worst thing you can do for a kid. Don't put floaties on your kids' arms. They don't understand the dynamic and the relationship between themselves and the water. And third example, which we also did.
You've thought about this before.
I think about this stuff all the time. The third example is, when we were kids our age, right? Parents would put us in those little walkers that had the little ring around it and the wheels on the bottom, and you would rip around, and you thought you were starting to learn to walk. This is the worst thing you could have done for a kid, because the kid. Listen, this is clinically. All you nerds out there, all you propeller heads, all you child development nerds, listen. You already know this. That's not good for a kid, because the kid is starting to walk, but the kid cannot see their feet, so they're not associating what the brain and the feet are not they're not connecting the two. I'm
going to transcribe this and submit it to Parenting Magazine. Like that's an article right there.
But in all honesty, I no training wheels, and I'm also convinced I could also break the internet, because I can teach a kid, and I've done this numerous times. I can teach a kid that wants to learn how to ride a bike. I can teach them to learn how to ride a bike in less than an hour.
Parents, you heard it here. Lance is offering, come to his house whenever you want. In the next 2 weeks, bring your toddler, and Lance will teach them.
My daughter learned that quickly.
Yep.
We found a gradual hill in Zilker Park, and the momentum, and then she put her feet on the
All right,
pedals.
parents. So you got it right. So no training wheels, no arm floaties in the pool, and none of those little donut walkers to teach your kid to walk.
What about the little bouncy things in the doorway?
No, that's not. That's old science.
What about yard darts?
We've got my son on the trainer. 3 years old. He loves the trainer in the garage. He's got to get his miles
trainer?
in. Oh yeah,
What?
loves the trainer. If it's raining and he wants to get out, he's got to get those miles in.
And then you make him go through all the stats of his performance that day.
that's
right.
Wow, that's-
Yeah.
He's probably watching the show right
You're
now.
over there quizzing him, like who's the third oldest rider in this Tour de France, Junior?
All right, questions. Send them in. The move at WEDÖ.team.
Yep. Tomorrow's a big day. Wake up early. There'll be action early too. So if you're up early, you won't be disappointed. We'll see you guys tomorrow.